Hey everybody, welcome to Landscape Rescue. My name's Stuart Moore and I'm here at the Lowe's Garden Center and I thought we could do a plant shopping video.
This is not gonna be good.
Before we get to the plants, I wanted to give you some tips on sod. So this is turf type tall fescue sod and it's $12.99 a roll. I remember when I used to sell this for $6 a roll. So now it's $13 a roll. And that wasn't that long ago. That was pre-COVID. I was selling these for $6 a roll when you bought it by the pallet, and when you bought it individually, I think it was like $6.50 a roll. But one of my tips and I've laid probably not as much sod as a lot of guys out there, but I've laid a lot of sod in rolls like this. My favorite thing to do, especially if I was going into a neighborhood where there was a lot of new construction and a lot of different landscapers were sodding and things like that, is I always liked to put biotone down, which one bag of biotone, if you put it in a chest spreader or you put it in a hand spreader, will do an entire pallet of sod. I would put, and it was like, you know, back then it was $8 for a 4-pound bag or an 8-pound bag of biotone. So we put the biotone down and then we would roll the sod on top of the biotone. So I got good bacteria, beneficial mycorrhizal fungi, and a little bit of a pump, you know, fertilizer wise. Then sometimes we would put like a 18-24-12 or some sort of starter fertilizer on top of that just to keep everything looking good, and then just turn the irrigation on. What I found out is midsummer, my sod always looked better than everybody else's sod in that neighborhood. It was one of my favorite things to do. And that was really when I started to fall in love with mycorrhizal fungi for what it could do for my plants. So that's kind of like the beginning when it came to discovering biotone, discovering Healthy Start. That's the plant healthcare version of, but it doesn't use poultry manure like biotone does. So biotone, poultry manure, Healthy Start is alfalfa based, I believe. But so anyway, this is a little talk about sod for a second before we go in there and we start the hunt. So I'm over here by the 2 for $10 rack. It's a table, really. Let's call a spade a spade. I saw some butterfly weed. Now I have a little hatchery area that I've been trying to keep going, you know, where I've got some dill and I've got the dill for the black swallowtails to host on, and then some parsley. I had some butterfly weed over there. Eventually, after 3 or 4 years, the butterfly weed has disappeared. I have one butterfly weed left and I have one swamp milkweed left. So I was thinking this 2 for $10 would be a really good opportunity for me to just really pack that area full of butterfly weed, because if I look at it, I can get a whole flat for $30. It seems like a pretty good deal. All right, not that we haven't talked about these in length in other videos, but this is the dappled willow. Can you see why people are absolutely in love with these things? Look at that. Man, that's a pretty plant. I wish I had a situation, you know, I can force a situation like that. I could make that happen. Just not ready to deal with those beds yet. Give me a break. Wow. Awesome. This one needs some agua though. Needs some H2O for sure. In one of the videos, the last video, I talked about the young salmon astilbe. There it is, the young salmon. See how I like that color? That's pretty. I mean, obviously it's not a salmon color right now, it's more a pinkish white, but you look at that, and I'll put some pictures up for you guys, but man, oh, I gotta get rid of some hostas so I can start having some fun over there in the 1 foot of shade I have. Young salmon, good looking. Now that young salmon was $11.98, pretty good deal. Here's another one, and we've talked about this in not so much this year yet, some later videos. Black lace elderberry, very pretty. When it's happy, it's a big boy. When it's happy, it's a big boy. Yeah, 6 to 10 feet tall and wide. When it's happy, it's very big. That's a big boy. But look at that purple foliage, and it's getting ready to pop with those kind of like pale pink flowers, like a lace cap almost. It's a very, even though it gets huge, it's a very delicate feeling plant. You get that wispy color, or you get that wispy feel to it because of how deeply margined its leaves are, you get that beautiful, almost like a yarrow kind of flower, or a viburnum type flower. More yarrow than viburnum, but it's a little bit more wispy than that. Very, very pretty. Unfortunately, I don't get to use them very often because I don't have the room. I have planted the black tower elderberry, and it ended up not getting enough sun and didn't end up making it. But it held on for a couple years and then just didn't end up making it. But zone 5 through 7 on these. So very small amount, very small window for, very small zone window there. Oh, here's another oldie but goodie when it comes to astilbe is the Maggie Daily astilbe. And this is very pretty. Purple blooms, tall, stately. Good to -20 to -30. Zones 1 through 3. Cold hardiness, 24 inches tall, 15 inches wide. So this might compete a little bit better with a bigger hosta. But now you're getting a little bit more versatility, being able to work it in. The key to these though is don't let the plume fool you. You still want, so see how tall this plume is? Gorgeous, gorgeous. You want this foliage to be able to get light, because that's how it's going to build, you know, that's how it's going to photosynthesize sunlight, is through the leaves, not through the bloom. I know a lot of you guys know that already, sorry, but we do have new people on the channel, and I like to talk a little bit about the science of how plants work. Again, I'm using reasonable deduction from what I know and just practical application, but understanding how plants, they're very mathematical, right? Everything a plant does for the most part makes sense. Once there could be some mysteries, right? Well, I don't know what happened to that plant, I don't know what happened to that tree, but if you know that it's growing contradictory to how it's supposed to be growing, something else is going on, right? Maybe it's on a hard fragipan style soil that's holding a lot of water in the wintertime, so it's losing roots, and so it gets very short and stumpy. That happens around here on a fragipan soil. Maybe it's starting to, you know, panic grow in weird areas, in the crooks of a tree, and then you start looking at it and you go, that's not stereotypically how a tree grows. It's doing something odd, and then you find out that it's got an emerald ash borer. There's always a reason. Plants just don't make a conscious effort that they're not going to survive anymore. Maybe clematis do. Then they pop right back up to show you don't know what you're talking about, right? Here is a dappled willow tree. Very tall graft too. I think this is a really good looking plant. It's $87. It's in a 5-gallon. Very pretty, not very thick. It hasn't, but this graft is healed. I used to know what this rootstock was. Will, you see him in the comments. Him and I figured it out one year. He's one of the first subscribers. Him and I figured that out one day. I called my Monrovia rep, I called my Greenleaf rep, and you know what? My Monrovia rep was actually the one that solved that problem for me. I think I sent some text messages to Bree Arthur and some other folks, and I'm just like, what is the stock? Because I said it was like weeping willow stock or corkscrew willow stock or something like that, and Will's like, I don't think it is. And I was like, great. He called me out on it, so now I got to look. And then it took me about 3 days to figure it out, and then somebody ended up getting back to me and told me it was like, it's some trash willow. It's not a willow anybody knows of. It's just some kind of like ditch willow, but it grows really fast and it's cheap, and they have an unlimited supply of it. So that's what the stem is going to be made of. So very robust. You never want to let anything grow below the graft on this bad boy, because no telling what you're going to get. It's in the comments somewhere. It's in the comments. The name of that is in the comments on one of the early videos. So not that I'm super excited about it, but here's the Jackamoney. It is kind of the clematis that everybody thinks when you say the word clematis. This is usually the clematis they think about, at least in my neck of the woods. If there's a purple clematis and somebody knows the name of one clematis, it's probably this one. And I'm like, oh, that's a Jackamoney. I'm like, nope, it's not. I know because I planted it, that's not a Jackamoney, but yeah, I can see why you would think that, because it's a purple clematis. Anyway, they're $20 and they're in a 1-2-gallon pot. Look for those on clearance, because you're going to be able to get them for about $8. Trying to see if there's anything we haven't talked about before. Oh, here's some of that Veronica. Pink Potion had some of these. They didn't end up making it. I had them in the Pay It Forward bed. The Magic Show Pink Potion from that Magic Show series. Those were pretty. It's early enough. These poor employees are trying to get stuff done and I'm standing in their way. Oh, thank God those days are over. And when I say those days are over, what I mean is I'd like to concentrate on areas that I'm actually really having a lot of fun. I am done working in the nursery industry unless I can do what I want to do. And unloading semis of plant material for half of my day and then putting plants away for the other half of my day and then having to tag plants on the weekend for free just to get caught up. Those days are over. Here's something neat. Bellan Grape, B-E-L-L-I-N-I, grape. It's a dwarf, so it's only gonna get 4 feet tall. After a couple years of cutting this back, it's going to develop enough root base that this is gonna reach maturity in 1 year, right? Or it's going to get to that mature size. Once it gets its feet underneath of it really good, you're gonna be able to cut it back, and by the time it's blooming at 4 feet. It might take a second, but to still get that purple color, that's very, very important. Around here, having these purple crepe myrtles is somewhat of a rarity. Now, these are $29.98, and it looks like they're in a 2-gallon pot. Not super excited about that price, but it's almost like worth it if you needed 1 or 2 of them. It's not going to outgrow its space, right? It's not gonna get too big. You get a couple, maybe, you know, you take the winter off and you don't do a lot of maintenance and you don't end up cutting them back in the spring, they're not gonna get out of control. Or ratty looking. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I don't have any room. We need to stay focused. I need to be focused on y'all. Orange Glow Knockout. I think that's a new one. That's a new one for me. Orange Glow Knockout. Look like this. Orange Glow. I wonder how it's gonna compare to the Coral Knockout. I don't know. Orange Glow Knockout. That's something to look out for here in a couple months. Might try a couple of those when they go on clearance for $8. Normally they're gonna be $24.98, so same price as one of these crepe myrtles, and they're a good combination for each other. So dwarf crepe myrtles, knockout roses, panicle hydrangeas, hardy hibiscus, they're all kind of blooming at the same time. So you've got some plants to work with. You've got some plants to kind of slide in the cylinder, start firing out some beauty. That was a gun analogy. You guys got it. So I'm over here on the clearance rack looking at some of these Callillies. I just kind of wonder if that would be enough foliage. So normally $12.98. I've got those window boxes. Did I mention that already? I was thinking about those for the window box. $12.98. Let's find a sign. It's gonna make these $7 a piece. I would rather get Callillies. I really like those. I like the idea, but see, I know myself. I don't have any delusions of grandeur that I'm going to remember with my ADHD brain come fall to pull these out and pop them in a... Now, I remember when it's somebody else's plants. I just don't remember when it's mine. Or I'll remember and I'll say to myself, I don't really want to put my pants on and go do that. Same reason why I don't weed eat as much as I should. I'm gonna have to get out of my shorts, put my pants on, get my boots on, and then I don't end up weed eating. Yeah, that's a real thing that happens. All right, check this out. So remember when I've talked about this before, that a lot of the times there's plants out there that do the exact same thing and the plant agreement has just basically been a renaming of a plant? I think I've mentioned that before, that you'll have something like a little devil and then the little devil goes off of patent, somebody puts another name on it, right? So then it becomes a marketing, the name is protected, but the plant isn't, if that makes sense. So basically what ends up happening is they grow 1,000 of these out in the field and they find something different about one of them. They isolate it, observe it, figure out what its characteristics are other than it just being different, and then they will license that plant, right? They'll throw a patent on that plant. Now there's a patent agreement on that particular plant, and then they can sell it to Monrovia, Greenleaf, Proven Winners. You start thinking about all the Southern Living. A lot of times they're not developing their own plants, they're just purchasing the rights to that plant. So here's one called Little Joker 9 bark. And it gets the same height as the Little Devil which was a really good seller for me. But the little devils that I sold were in a black pot. Little Joker is in a Monrovia pot. So I'm kind of wondering, I need to do some more investigating to figure out if that's the case. It looks a little denser, but then Monrovia takes really good care of their plants, and they're very good at pruning stuff and leaving it in the pot for a little while so it can get denser, so it can get better looking. So I wonder if it's a little devil. That's what I wonder. Who knows? Who knows? The world may never know. I'll try to find out. Here is a really cool tree. This is the Ginkgo. Now this variety is called, it's in a Monrovia pot, so now we're dealing with autumn gold Ginkgo. Now, never seen a Ginkgo that isn't yellow in the fall. This could be marketing again. I don't know. Instead of using the word yellow, you use the word gold, and all of a sudden, gold in the autumn, autumn gold Ginkgo. That's what we'll call it. Johnson, you're a genius. You know, I don't know what goes on in some of these marketing meetings, but this guy is beautiful. I was listening to a TED Talk, some guy talking about how he hates the Ginkgo, okay? Some horticulturalist, you know, that's making a name for himself by being controversial or something like this. He was talking about how he didn't like the Ginkgo because it's not a host species for anything, right? Well, it's not a host. Maybe he's an entomologist or something, you know, do with bugs. It's a host for 0, basically pests. So when we're talking about it's a host species for, you know, 1,000, you know, oak trees are great trees to have around because you have all these native insects, and native birds will coincide their hatch with the hatch of some of these insects, right? Because they're usually in the form of caterpillars, and caterpillars are very easy to get, right? They're just crawling across leaves, and the birds can now feed their babies a little easier. That was one of the reasons that host species are so important. Well, when it comes to the Ginkgo, it's a host species for none, and he was busting this tree's chops about how it didn't host any native bug species. And then I just thought that the Ginkgo survived Hiroshima, right? There's still Ginkgo in Hiroshima right now that's went through a nuclear blast. It can survive this dingbat's scrutiny. I mean, at what point are we gonna let people just plant some trees, right? Let people plant some trees without all the virtue signaling from the bug guy. There's 6 oak trees in their backyard, and you're gonna bust their chops about planting a Ginkgo. Absolutely ridiculous. Where in the world? This whole thing is supposed to be about harmony and peace. And they're all about 5'4", so it's not like if we go to war over the Ginkgo, they're gonna win anyway. Not that I haven't known some 5'4" guys that'll put it down on you. Yeah, I was in the military with some little tiny guys, like, you know, little tiny dudes that represent the Lollipop Guild, and they could bench press me. They were little dudes, but man, they were on the juice. All right, I wanted to take one more buzz through the clearance area just to see if there was anything else that I can think of here. Are we not following me anymore? Is that not a thing we're doing? Anyway, I wanted to show you this knockout rose on a standard. It's over here in the clearance rack, normally $50, which I don't think is a horrible price, but it's a lot better now that it's $25. And I think you would have to try really hard to hurt one of these. So buying one of these for $25 on the clearance rack, it looks like they have 4 of the yellow, the sunny border knockout, or wait, yeah, sunny knockout. I think it would be a good deal, especially if you had 4. I mean, what other opportunity can you fill 4 large containers, you know, concrete planters for $100? And not necessarily fill, but you would still have room to put some annuals to spill out of there. And I know that would be a little bit traditional, but you know, you could do something like that, and I don't think it'd look bad at all. Okay, I'm gonna cut the video short because I'm really trying to be careful about how long these videos are. All right, everybody, my name's Stuart Moore. This is Landscape Rescue. It's a gorgeous day, so thank you very much for letting me into your home to talk about plants.